Hey everybody, how you doing? People that are researching targeted individuals, you might have ended up on this video, and you might have noticed some strange occurrences in your life, and you started getting on the internet and researching, and that's what I did in end of April, May of 2017. Um, yeah, sorry, you probably noticed people walking by you a lot, doing stuff like this, stroking their hair. So that's just a very, 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 very small part of this. And through my research over the last year, being a targeted individual and documenting this, networking with other targeted individuals, and becoming part of the targeted individual community, I've learned a lot. And the point I'm at right now is nowhere close to. I'm about to go to court tomorrow. Actually, I'm still being targeted. I'm still being stalked, harassed, but I'm not in the state of fear, and I don't want to say paranoia, but hypervigilance because of all of the tactics, the standard operating procedure tactics that are used in this program. So somebody wrote this up, and I cannot remember which website I got it on, and I'm sorry because I want to give, it just says DIXI, D-I-X-I, and I want to give somebody credit for writing this up because it's very good. They're clearly, in order to write something like this, you would have needed to go through this. It's almost impossible to explain to people. And this person has done a good job of writing this out to help somebody identify if they are targeted or not. So I'll just start reading it, and I will, some of these I'll just read it. I won't even react to it. I might not agree or disagree. I'll just read it and go, okay, well, I'm not going to respond to that. I'm going to move on to the next one, and some of these I'll expound on. So the top of this says evinces, E-V-I-N-C-E-S, unnatural occurrences that may suggest you are targeted for surveillance. Once is happening, twice is coincidence, 3 times is enemy action. Ian Fleming, I don't know who Ian Fleming is. Should probably read about Ian Fleming. Only what is thought, said, and done at a certain rare coincidence is good. David Henry Thoreau. I don't really even understand that quote either, so anyway, move on. The following items are examples of occurrences that could possibly signify that one has been targeted for surveillance or harassment or both. No single example provided herein necessarily constitutes that one is under watch, but having more than one such instance occurring in a small space of time, having reoccurrences should lend one to err on the side of caution. These examples are subjective, for they are singular examples among infinite scenarios. In what could be a curious occurrence for one may be a banal passing for another. Take a hermit from the mountaintop and a Joe from Fifth Avenue and place them both on the street in Middle America, and you may get 2 polar extremes in perception. Take it all into perspective. What they're saying there is this is an induced perception. People are put into your life, into your path, to give you a perceived outcome. And I've heard some people refer to this as like heaven and hell. You know, some people are allowed into heaven on earth, some people are put through hell by these stalkers. Okay, is it coincidence or really coincidence? You come home and notice that your pet didn't greet you at the door. And then you notice that it's under the bed and very slow and weary to come out. Everything else around the house is usual, with no signs of burglary or forced entry. This could be a strong indicator that some stranger was in your home and spooked your pet. A potential surreptitious sneak and peek entry may have transpired. I've lost count how many times I've come in. My dog's happy. He gets treated well. when we come home, he greets us at the door, and he's all happy to see us. When this was going on, I'd come home, he'd be on the couch just sitting there shaking, staring at us like, what the hell just happened? There are at least 4 reasons for surreptitious entries into a target's home. Survey and observe what's going on in your home. Surveillance setup, sound and audio, Wi-Fi streaming. PSYOPs effects, gaslighting, and food, water, and chemical tampering, dosing foodstuff, e.g., example, salt with agents. So the people that stalk and harass targeted individuals get very creative, or they're given information from somebody that's creative, that have just kind of learned these ways to harm somebody that are covert. And you start experiencing these things, and you don't see the people do it, and you don't understand why these things start happening to you, and you start going, what's going on? Is somebody getting in my house? These are some of the things that happen when you are on this targeted list. Someone persists in trying to befriend or impress you platonically from out of nowhere, even when you repeatedly show no reciprocation or interest. It happened to me. I married one of them. I literally called her, I called her my favorite stalker, joking around that I had no idea that there was a thing called organized stalking and harassment, targeted individuals, anything like this. I was just a guy in the military. But I remember she was really persistent, and she was really pretty. And I was like, that doesn't usually happen. You gotta they're like a deer, like when you're in Yosemite and you get out of your car and there's a deer there, you're trying to feed it, you're like, oh, don't move. Some comedian talked about this, so I'm kind of taking that from him. That's not my original stuff, but you're afraid to do anything, you're gonna scare them away. They don't usually just like walk up to you and or keep calling you. It's kind of out of the ordinary, You're like, what's happening here with that? And then you start to learn as you go what a honey trap is. So you keep running into the same person at a high rate of incidents. This may not be mere coincidence. My ex-girlfriend actually talked about this, where when she first was going through, when she didn't really know what was going on, this one guy, no matter where she went, that guy would just be there, and every single time he'd be like, Kathy, so amazing that you're here. And like the 20th time, she was just like, okay, there's no way that this is just happening. This is getting weird. And then you mention something about it, and the person says, what are you talking about? I don't understand. What do you mean that's weird? We just happen to run into each other 20 times in like a month? 2 months? No. Someone tries in earnest to befriend you, but they never inquire or ask things about your past personal life or interests because they may already know they've been briefed. I also lost count how many times I would tell my ex-wife something, and she would just look at me like, duh. And I'm like, I told you that story? She's like, oh, you've told that story. And I do tell stories over and over, to like kids. I'm a dad. I'll be like, have I told you guys this story? And yes, you told me that story. But definitely. And another way you can tell when you're with somebody, that if you're in this program that is a honey trap, or just somebody that's been installed into your life for you, when you try to talk about the future, like retirement or your plans when you're older, it's really tough to get that person to talk about your future. And then you keep thinking like, okay, we're getting older. We need to kind of talk about this stuff, planning, and like, hey, what do you want to do when we retire, when we get done with this business? What are your thoughts on that? If they don't really have an opinion, that might give you an idea that they don't plan on being in your future. So just kind of keep that in mind. Someone comes into your inner circle, either professionally or socially, and they have A penchant for bringing up topics that are very particular to your passions, hot buttons, or recent unique events that you have experienced. Yeah, there's always that person that would show up and then just mimic pretty much tell you this story and mimic exactly what you have going on. Or, yeah, definitely pump you up and agree with everything you say, placate you. You say, oh yeah, I joined this place called Watered Wine. You go make your own wine, and they hate wine, but then they'll be like, oh, that's really interesting. You know, I've always been interested in wine. We should go check that out sometime. When really they hate it. They're going with you just to make you feel connected. You know, you do some little thing. I used to chew on my lip. There was one that she did. I used to chew on my lip, just kind of like as a nervous habit. You know, I didn't know I was targeted. There's all this weird stuff going on. I'm just like trying to manage through that. Just kind of chew on the inside of my lip. She would do the same thing. Mimic me, chew on her lip, do this, and go, I noticed you do that, and I'm the only other person that does that. That's really weird that we both do that, you know, like it's so interesting. And just finding little things to identify with you over and over and over. You love baseball? Oh, I love baseball too. It's my favorite sport. Let's go to baseball games. Things like that. I've always just happened to be into skateboarding and live music and all these things. And then when you get to these places and do things with them at them, they don't seem like they're genuinely interested in the thing that you're doing. And then you're like, didn't you say you... I don't know. Some people in the beginning of a relationship will tell you they like to, do yard work or something like that to get you to placate you. Like, I love yard work. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't. Anyway, you notice more people tend to linger around your location for unusually long periods of time. Example, walking their dog, etc. After these people do this, and you have not been alone. Like, you know, you go different places where there are not people. And you've made it through, say, like 3 weeks of you go to the store, and every single time you take out from your house, there's a car pulling out, they're following you, and then at your destination, there'll be multiple of the same color cars following you to your destination with either a headlight out, paper license plate, disabled placard. There's a lot of identifiers. A lot of the people that gang stalk me, one of the identifiers that they will use is having, like, say they're using all white cars. They'll have one little pink thing on their car, so it'll be like a pink license plate or a pink steering wheel cover, a pink cancer ribbon, but that'll be the only thing on the vehicle. It'll be just one little item that's pink, and then you see that 20 times on your way to the post office and back, and all these people are on their cell phone looking at you weird, and you notice, that there's a lot of similarities in these people, what they're doing, and that their attention is focused on you. And they have these little identifiers. This is what I'm talking about, is when you're in the overt part of being stalked and harassed. The covert part happens, you have no idea, people make conversations with you, get information from you, learn everything about you, and then they build a profile on you to see what makes you tick, and then put the stalking into place and try to disassemble your life. So remember, these are all just examples. The realm of possible scenarios is actually boundless. There's so many things that they've done to me that are just, some of them I'll forget. Something will happen and it'll make me remember, like, oh, that's one of those things they did to me. It's weirdos. Banging on my window at 3 o'clock in the morning, the night after I get back from a cruise, running around, like, who's banging on my window? Nobody outside. They're clearly banging on my window. Bam, bam, bam. It sounded like it was going to break. Stuff like that. Someone odd or out of place moves in next door. Man, the most redneck, there's nothing wrong with rednecks, but the most redneck guy with a rebel flag and a lifted four-wheel drive truck, blasting music every day, moved in maybe a couple months after I moved into this place, would peel out every single day, just cause chaos and havoc, knock on the door, ask for things, water. They asked to borrow my internet. They asked to borrow my internet. I said, how are you going to give it back? Like, I'm just about to change my code. Guy showed up on my front door with bloody teeth, blood dripping down the front of his shirt, bloody towel over his neck. My daughter answered the door with me. So that's just very, 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 very small part of that weirdo. Oh, and here you go on the next thing. People start showing up at your door asking for a cup of sugar, asking for directions, inquiring about a neighbor living near you, asking if you've seen their lost pet, or asking you to sign up or donate something. I lost track how many people showed up at my front door trying to test my water. The Jehovah's Witness, Boy Scouts, kids down the street selling stuff. The list goes on and on. Home surveillance systems after the one that I had here. It didn't even matter. I had like 12 cameras. Turn it on, leave the house, I'd come home, watch it, and there's 5 to 10 minutes of just black spaces. It's like they said, hey, but this person has no constitutional rights. We're going to redact his personal video cameras when he comes home. Can't see it. It's going to wipe that part out. My old neighbors in Clovis, they literally would come over and ask to borrow water. They would plug, when I'd leave the house, they would come over, they would put their plug over the fence, plug it into my house. I shouldn't tell people about this. So you're going to try it. Don't try this, you criminals. But they would they put their plug over the fence, plug it into my house, and then have electricity in their house while I was gone, so they could like heat it up because they didn't want to pay the bill. All kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. Stab my motorcycle seat with knives. Again, it goes on and on. Attractive people who share common interests become much more prevalent around you. I just posted some pictures on Facebook not too long ago, who they sent to me. And a couple people were like, well, at least they sent you some pretty women. Are you kidding me? I would have rather never, other than one of them was my daughter's mom, but I would have, other than that, I would have never rather have met them. I know I just said that wrong. I would have rather have never met them. Being in a fake relationship, I want to live real life, not with these actresses that are government actors. This is ridiculous. This is nonsense. This is psychopathic to do this. For what reason? I've never been afforded due process. And either have any of you that are on this list that are going through this weird psychological operation. So, look up honey trap, honey pot. The same someone is repeatedly coming around that corner or waiting at your destination every time you show up. I don't know how many of you people go to the grocery store and literally at the end of every aisle you go around, somebody just happens to be coming around that aisle and they're going to run into you. You got to stop, wait, go run. And then after like the 20th time, you're going, this almost seems like military precision the way they're doing this. Like, how did they do this, And then you go to the grocery store the next time, and then it happens again, and then it happens again and again. And people are standing next to you, and you're talking about before you go to the grocery store. Hey, we should pick up some beef, right? Just talk a normal conversation. Hey, let's pick up some hamburger. You go in there and you're standing there looking at something else, and there's this girl on her phone leaning over next to you going, yeah, acting like she's talking on her phone. Complete fake conversation. Yeah, beef. Yeah, you're right. Lots of beef. Yes, beef. You know, like saying it over and over and over, not naturally. And it's like, what is the point of you doing this? But the point is, she says that. We just had the conversation about it. It sounds so trivial, but then her relaying that information to me lets me know somebody just listened to my damn conversation in my house where it's supposed to be private, and they're letting me know and putting it in my face. We know what you're saying at every moment of the day. And if you tell anybody that you think that people are listening to you and harassing you and following you, that you're going to be called delusional. That's just Brad coming on, buddy. Maybe Derek will open the door for her. He's down there. It's okay, buddy. It's just Brad. Someone you are newly acquainted with moves to a location very near your residence. You lose someone you love, you lose your job, you lose your home, and other misfortunes occur all in a small spaced process of time. My dad shot himself in the head or was murdered. I haven't got nobody's investigated it yet. Ruled suicide. I was let go from the Air Force after 15 years. Got an honorable discharge, but I wanted to stay and retire. Lost my home in California. I sold it, but I sold it at the moment that all of this became overt. After I put $40,000 into it, and I was going to resell it and buy a home here, that's when my ex-wife just disappeared. And I went through all of this chaos. I spent all this money on this attorney, all the money on all of this other nonsense that ruined everything. So right there, I mean, they're explaining exactly what happened to me. I don't know this person. I have no idea who wrote this, but they're explaining my life, and they might be explaining your life too. And this is hid under an unacknowledged special access program. People are paid to do this. So we need the FISA documents to be unclassified, unredacted, and the American people need to know that they're being tortured and terrorized by their own government they pay taxes to. I'll let my dog out. So many other different misfortunes occur. Just got word that the car that we had bought for my ex-wife, she kept when she took off. This one she disappeared in. And apparently she just quit making the payments. My name's still on it. She filed a restraining order against me. Hold on a second, Kay.
Hey, can I come the dual charger?
Yeah. Pardon me. So anyway, you lose something you love, you lose your job, you lose your home, and other misfortunes occur all in a small space, procession of time. They hit you with everything that can go wrong all at once. You can't figure out why are so many things going wrong every single day. Every day. Every single day I'm going through some kind of traumatic tragedy, you know, daughter getting hit in the eye with a rock, Next day, the insurance is canceled, and you get started all over again. Somebody messed up the paper. They treat you like crap at every store that you go to that's not a mom and pop shop. Some people don't take part in this. You figure out where you can go, where people aren't part of this, and we'll treat you right. So, other physiological or health experiences occur without any apparent cause and with no clear diagnosis. Yeah, stuff happens that you can't explain. A person makes repeated eye contact, but they never show any interest in contact or conversation and will avoid all contact when in close proximity. So these people walk around and they just stare at you. So if somebody's looking at you, they kind of like got your interest, and they're like, do I know that person? I'm gonna look at them and go. And then if they get their attention, then they look at me, and then I'm like, hey, how you doing, Darty Bob or whoever? But these people stand there. So Russell Roberts, just standing there, trying to get some coffee. He's in QT, and he's standing there, but he's in front of some chips. But his eyes are locked on me for everything I'm doing. And I'm like, what's this guy's issue? I'm just trying to do my thing. This guy's a gang stalker, isn't he? And he's doing that exact thing. Locking eyes. But then when you look up, you're like, so, hey, how you doing? What's going on? Or can I help you? Then they look away and like, oh my gosh, I don't want to make contact. No normal person acts like that. And then when we respond to it, they try to use terminology as a weapon and say, you're delusional. And if you're delusional, you could be dangerous. You need to be put away. Well, the reality is these people that are intentionally premeditating to go out and instigate and antagonize people to try to get them to go into a reaction, these people, the criminals, they're the ones that need to be investigated through their phones or metadata, use the RICO Act, human trafficking, something. It's backwards. You notice the same bumper sticker or emblem more and more often on vehicles around you. They'll put something that you see 20 or 30 times in a row, and it's repetitive, and they'll pick all kinds of different things. So when you repeat it, you sound weird. So say it'll be like a person wearing bright blue socks, right? I'm just thinking of some random example because they just do the weirdest stuff. So this person, you're out in the store and you see this person wearing these like ridiculously bright blue socks, like maybe with a suit. Their pants are kind of high up, and you think, oh, that's not something you see all the time. The next thing you know, like 45 minutes later, you're somewhere else, and this other completely different person dressed completely differently has the exact same bright blue socks on. And you think to yourself, like, huh, blue socks. I wonder if blue socks are like the thing right now. And then it just keeps going and going. And then pretty soon, 15 people later, and then these people aren't just kind of passing by you. They're usually on a cell phone. Their interest is in you. They're kind of looking at you to see if you're reacting, noticing their stupid socks. And that's what gives it away. So it's not just you running around just going, I think this person's looking at me. I think this person's looking at me. You're reacting to their behavior. And that explains that. I don't know if I'm going to make it through this whole thing. All right. Maybe I'll do a part 2. I'm just getting tired. I do have court tomorrow. I just thought I would do something positive tonight before I went to court tomorrow. Yeah, because I thought this was really well written. Easy for me to say. You notice the same fluorescent colored clothing or emblem insignia on the clothing of people everywhere you go, and it appears to have no particular affiliation with any school or organization in your area. Yeah, definitely. A lot of out-of-state license plates, a lot of wear college stuff. I lived in Norman, Oklahoma by OU, so for a while, pretty much everybody that I got, if I got in line, the person in front of me was wearing an OU sweatshirt, or the person that would show up in line behind me was wearing an OU sweatshirt. They wanted to start up a story about OU. And after the 20th or 30th time, I was like, damn, there are a lot of University of Oklahoma fans in Avondale, Arizona running around. Is there a mass exodus from Norman to Avondale this week? And none of them happen to know anything about Norman when I strike up a conversation. I'm like, yeah, I lived a couple blocks away from the stadium. I used to go down to, blah, blah, blah. Fuzzies. Nobody knows anything about it. Yet they're wearing OU stuff in there 2-3 weeks straight. Yeah, here we go. Oh, I just got a video of this tonight. You notice a car lingering at a protracted or oh no, I'm sorry, not this. I wasn't driving today. You notice a car lingering at a protracted or constant distance behind you, regardless of whether you speed up or slow down. All the time, I'll do it. I'll slow down. It'll be a 45. I'll slow down to a 30. That person will stay back to 100 yards. I speed up to 60. They come up. They stay up another 100 yards. No matter what you do, they're just behind you. You can slow down to 15 miles an hour. I've done it, and they'll just stay right behind you. And they'll slow down too. A unique or private conversation you recently experienced coincidentally becomes topic of conversation or interest by others around you, acquaintances or strangers. Pretty much everywhere you go for a while. This has slowed down for me. They did it. What was that the last time I did it? In Verizon. They did it in Verizon. That's and FedEx. Verizon and FedEx. Last two places they've used directed conversation on the information that was passed on to them that I had recently talked about. Actually, just did a video about this lady gaslighting me in FedEx, denying it. That's usually part of gaslighting. They set you up into a confrontation solely to blame you for the argument, which is so aggravating when somebody starts an argument with you and then they blame it on you. So they're so ridiculous. These narcissists will never, ever, ever admit to doing that. So you literally have to catch them on video doing it and point out how they're doing it. And then hopefully pass that on to somebody that can evaluate that situation and say, oh my gosh, this person is gaslighting you. I see what they did here. You explained this well. Maybe we'll get rid of that employee and hire some people with some more tact or that won't be involved in this program. Which people that work for FedEx, I'm not saying every single person that works there, but people that work for FedEx, people that work for UPS, people that work for the post office, some of the people work in these government programs that are unconstitutional. You tell someone about a bizarre event that took place of which you suspect may be a form of harassment and someone seems unsurprised and doesn't carry on with the topic and never brings it up again in future conversations. Put yourself in a role reversal and ask yourself how you would react if someone told you something bizarre. You would push the topic forward by stating something like, wow, that's really odd. How'd you react? What'd you do about that? That's really weird. That's the natural reaction that somebody would have when somebody tells them something out of the ordinary, because the first thing they think is, oh, geez, this could happen to me. How can I prepare myself? I'm going to ask the person that just went through it. But then that's not the case with these people. You tell them something really bizarre that's going on, like, okay, literally, one poor targeted individual, they stole his truck. They put a truck that looked identical to his in his driveway. This is how well this is funded. This kind of thing happens, and I believe this guy 100%. They replaced his truck with a truck that looked almost exactly like his. Replaced the license plate, everything, and he went out. It was his only vehicle. He went out to go somewhere, and he got in his truck, and he's driving and going, "This isn't my truck." You know, like if you have a baseball glove you've been using for 10 years, and somebody replaces it with the same baseball glove, but it's not been fitted on your hand, you're going to notice right away. Just like this guy's been driving his truck, there's all kinds of little things you get in your truck and notice they're missing, that a couple things are different. And then how do you go to the police and say, excuse me, somebody exchanged my truck with one that looks similar, but all the numbers and the tags are the same. I don't get it. So that's what they do. They set you up to look crazy. It's all this plausible deniability and street theater skits to use the system as a weapon, to use the psychological and psychiatric system as a weapon. People have figured out, ooh, if we set these people up into these situations, we can build this system bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's exactly what they're doing. As I puff on my jewel to calm my nerves. Yeah. All right. Again, remember, these are all just examples of the realm of possibility. Scenarios is actually boundless. There's so many different things they could do. These people, here's just another random one. It was at the time right after my ex-wife had left. I was having to leave the house. There was nobody here. My son still had his car. He was out running around doing stuff. My daughter was at school. I'd have to go places. I'd come home, and I'd take a shower. I put some underwear. They'll do embarrassing crap like this too, so they don't think you'll say anything about it. I don't care. I put my underwear on, and I was just talking. This is the kind of thing they do to let you know they're listening to. I was just talking like the day before that about sushi, going over to some place to get some sushi, and how wasabi does this or that. It was a conversation about wasabi. The next day, left the house, I come home, take a shower, put my underwear on, that my legs start burning all over where my shorts are. I take them off, I smell them, they smell like wasabi. So, like, that's the kind of childish nonsense these people do. And then you try to go to the police and explain that, and they say, so you're filing a report because you have hot underwear? You know, they'll use it just to, oh man, it's like setting up Mark McGuire with a ball and a tee. You know, they're waiting for you to come to them and tell them. So you just can't go to them, unfortunately, right now. You know? Sorry to say. Just document everything. Your home security alarm system alerts your phone while you're at work or away from home. You get home and nothing is unusual. The doors and windows show no signs of tampering. The alarm system alert happens a couple other times with no signs of tampering or entry, though. You do note that the alarm system has never caused a false alarm before when you make quick runs out to pick up something at a convenience store, or even when you activate the alarm system for 8 hours each night while sleeping. Use the wax seal technique on your locks. See countertruth.com. Okay, I'm not sure what the wax seal technique is, but I will leave my house. I don't like to leave my house alone because they can put stuff in here while I'm gone. They can steal things that I need. I have to take important things with me. And then I'll leave the house, and people will literally pull in front of me at the last second and go really, really slow. And then there'll be somebody right next to me, somebody else next to me, and they'll be going as slow as possible. I can't get around them. The next thing you know, the train arms are going down. Then the next thing you know, big rigs are coming over in front of me, and it's like this nonstop parade of people, just like in the Truman Show, pulling out in front of you. It's like you're trying to leave town in the Truman Show and you can't get through town. And all you're trying to do is just go to a local store and come home. And on normal days, when, like, say, somebody's home, you're not worried about it, you just have a normal errand to run, you'll get out and the people will be around, but they won't be impeding your progress, trying to slow you down because they know that you're trying to get back home. It's a lot of this psychological thing, you know. They're keeping you from doing the things that you want to do, from being a free American and observing the Constitution, observing your Fourth Amendment. Your computer or smartphone suddenly starts having more and more problems even though you have not made recent changes or app installations. These problems may have become present on different devices that never connect to each other or may never connect to each other and may reoccur with new devices or under connections that involve none of the same apps or operating systems that were on previous devices. This could indicate information targeting. You'll notice all of your computer, everything will go haywire at specific times. Mouse will move by itself sometimes. Phishing questions by a passing stranger. You go to check your mail at the community mailbox center of your condominium and the stranger strikes up a quick small talk conversation with you. Where shortly after you politely state, "All right, well, have a good day. I've got to get running to work," and the stranger abruptly asks, "Where do you work?" Or they just won't stop talking. You'll be like, "Okay, good," and then the next thing you know, people do this. They might be lonely. They might just do like, "I'm talking to somebody today. I need some attention," and they'll do that. You know, sometimes older people do that, like when I'm at the SWAT meet and stuff like that. I get that. Or state sales or whatever, and that's totally fine, but it's different when you can tell this person, they've got this little look in their eye, they're looking at you, got their cell phone in their hand, it's like they're trying to remember their script and what to say, and they're looking at you to try to see your reaction. Like if you've ever played poker, if you've ever sat around a poker table, a lot of people will look for tells. They're looking around the table, looking to see who is reacting in a certain way, so they can gain information on you for further hands in the round. And that's exactly the same thing that these people do. It's as they're performing their little street theater skit, they're not concentrating on what they're saying, they're looking at you to see your reaction to the hand that they're playing. I'm going to end this video on that note. There's a couple pages left of this. There are like 4 pages left of this, 4.5. And I've gone through 3 of them. So I'm going to end on that note. The next part is a detective or official knocks on the door and starts asking questions about one of your... Yeah, I wish a detective or an official knocked on my door and started asking me some questions. I haven't had that until after I was arrested. All right, everybody have a good night. Hope that was helpful. Look me up on Facebook, Michael Barden on Facebook, Twitter, Michael Barden 8, number 8, and Patreon, Michael Barden. Thanks. Good night.